Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is my super awesome quality studio that definitely won't be getting laid off, Josh Finney.
Oh my god. I don't know if we can make layoff jokes, Corey. I've made too many statements in favor of unions. I don't think I can make jokes like that.
I know. I just
That's what they're supposed to prevent.
Look, I just saw a lot of rumors, including one about Xbox in Turn 10 today. So I'm just,
oh shit! Is there one about Turn 10 too?
Yeah, it came out about maybe 2 or 3 hours ago. Tom Warren was talking about it.
I hadn't seen that yet. I knew about the Xbox one.
They're the ones that are apparently going to get the hit the hardest. Apparently, some people are reporting they might close the studio and have Playground take over.
I'd be very surprised. All right,
I'm
pulling this up to start right now because I want to make sure that we're talking.
I don't think they're going to close.
Tom Warren reports from The Verge. There's online speculation entire studios could be closed. I've heard from sources that Turn 10 is bracing for cuts. I mean, to me, that I don't think they're going to close it, but they are becoming more and more of a tech studio than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very clear that Horizon is like their thing now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking to see.
Well, especially because Motorsport as a live service didn't blow anybody away.
No, well, it came out and was missing a lot of features, and like they're still trying to get that game to where it needs to be. Like, I have a lot of racing friends who just don't like that game. They're like, GT7 was a disaster, but this was somehow worse, essentially. They're like, if you're looking for a good racing experience, go to Horizon at this point.
Oh gosh.
So Andy Robinson from VGC is saying a lot of negative chatter coming out of UK Xbox studios today. Can't confirm any specific details, but there's certainly a lot of negative chatter. For the sake of employees, I hope details are confirmed swiftly, but I expect this will drag well into next week. The studios that they have in the UK, for the record, are Rare, Ninja Theory, Playground, and support studios for Mojang and Activision. If I had to take a guess here, I think Rare is going to get hit. I think Mojang and definitely Activision. I think Playground,
definitely.
I think Playground, just out of the fact that they're making two of the major franchises at this point, they will probably get some cuts, but not major cuts. And Ninja Theory is like one of those like prestige studios for them. I imagine.
Plus, they have a state-of-the-art motion capture studio, if nothing
else. That's the other thing. Like, they're kind of like the UE5 gurus at Xbox right now.
Yeah.
So, like them and the Coalition.
Right? So.
Yeah, they're kind of handling like Europe for that, and Coalition handles North America. I'm wondering if Blizzard and Infinity Ward also see cuts. Infinity Ward did spin up a team in Poland a couple years ago. I don't know if that might be one of them. Yeah, I don't really know like where else you go from there. I think that like a lot of these studios have kind of been like stripped down to what they can be already. The other thing I would say keep in mind about like if we're talking specifically about Europe cuts, King is based in Sweden.
Yeah.
That would be honestly, like that would be the one I'd be looking at. But it would
be them that other mobile studio that Bethesda has, right? Maybe. Although I think they got folded into somebody else. So
Bethesda's mobile. So Bethesda had two mobile teams. They had AlphaDog, which is already closed, and they have Bethesda Montreal, which has remained. That is a division of the main Bethesda team, so they've left it just as is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they're going to lose anything. And like, if you're planning to go in the mobile, I think that's like, but with the news that the mobile store is just like not happening anytime soon, I do think that it's time for King to probably take the brunt of some of this.
Mm-hmm.
King, I heard at one point had like 4,000 or 5,000 employees, and they make Candy Crush.
Yeah.
So,
dude, you forgot about Candy Crush Saga, Candy Crush Saga 2, Candy Crush Party. Come on.
Insane. Absolutely insane.
They need each individual piece of candy, Josh, to crush.
I don't, man.
No, 5,000 employees seems like a lot for Candy Crush. I'm not gonna lie to you. Especially because people make match 3 games solo in their basement. So I don't know. Seems like a lot.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. Okay, so I was probably wrong. The just a quick Google, the number shows you that it's 2,000 employees as of 2017. Obviously that was 8 years ago, so I'm sure it has only gone up since then.
Or at least stayed the same, I'm sure, with how successful that game is.
Yeah, or at least stayed the same. Yeah, the only things that they've really made, they've made multiple Candy Crush games. And they did an auto run Crash Bandicoot game that's already been discontinued. That was made like 3, 4 years ago. And Candy Crush Solitaire has just come out. But pretty much anything that's not Candy Crush has been discontinued. Big surprise there. So I do wonder how often. So it is Swedish British is the studio. So it's headquartered in Stockholm and London. That would kind of make me think that maybe it's a target. But I I'm not a spreadsheet monitor though, like the people making the cuts are. So I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if they look at that and are like, well, they bring in so much money that we're going to let them stay fully staffed with all their people.
Mm-hmm.
When I think anybody could look at it and be like, well, if we got to cut like 300 people, like we might as well cut them from King. I'm not an advocate for anyone to lose their job, but I mean, you said it, like match 3 games are a dime a dozen. You can make those solo in a basement. So why do we need that many people? Why do we need 2,000 people working on pretty much just that? Is my question. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
keep coming back to.
Right.
I don't know what you do. It really crushing though, and it's not limited to just Xbox. It's going to happen across the board. Unfortunately, it keeps happening at like every studio and every publisher. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the not to keep harping on this because I feel like we say this every single week on Xbox casuals, but when the budgets are this high, and you're running on a $20 subscription service and not selling consoles, right? I mean, that's why they're multi-platform. That's why they're looking for new ways to monetize. Like, something's got to give at some point. It's not
mhm.
sustainable anymore, right? Like, it's just not sustainable. So it might have been if you didn't spend $70 billion on Activision, but you know, I don't know. I'm anyway.
It's really bad that Satya Nadella is allowing this to happen, and like this is what happens when you put people in charge who don't know the business,
Mhm.
right? And like, listen, I'm not saying that like he has to, but like he's clearly not gonna let Phil do whatever he wants to do anymore. I think that when you look at the acquisitions that Xbox made over the last couple of years, and I'm like, well, we'll obviously talk about this more on Xbox Casuals. I don't want to take up too much time here because by the time we record our next episode of that, these will have happened. Um, you look at the studios they initially acquired back in 2018 when they went on this spree, and Playground, Undead Labs, Ninja Theory, Compulsion. Those were all part of it. The second wave was Obsidian and In Exile. The next year was Double Fine. And then you had the mega acquisitions of Bethesda and Activision. The Activision purchase, I understand why Microsoft corporate wanted that. I think that fucked Xbox
Mhm.
because everything is now going to be compared to the daily and monthly active users on Call of Duty and Candy Crush and World of
Yeah.
Warcraft and Diablo 4. And just no single player studio is ever going to keep up with that. It's just a reality of it. Like Forza Horizon 5 is about the only, and maybe Sea of Thieves are like the only two in that portfolio that are still going to do that.
Yeah. Also, like something we didn't hit on, but might also be affected is the hardware team,
I
because
think,
if
yeah,
this plan of partnering with ROG and Asus to kind of test out these things, right? Like,
I
I don't
think
know.
Compulsion may be fucked. They're not in the UK, but I feel like Compulsion might be fucked.
Yeah, that's sad too, because South of Midnight was I'm gonna go out on a limb. I've played a little bit of it. I haven't played enough of it to make this full decision, Josh, but I would argue that South of Midnight is better than We Happy Few in
Well,
quite a bit of
I
ways.
don't think that's very hard to do at all.
No, but I'm just
Yeah. I think that you have to look at what the studios have done recently, and you have to equate that, I think, with what Matt Booty has said in the past about we want smaller games and we want them quicker. I think Double Fine is probably in a little bit of trouble. I don't think they're going to be closed down or anything, but I think they're going to face some cuts.
Yeah.
I think Ninja Theory is going to get cuts no matter what. Hellblade 2 drastically underperformed to what they thought it was going to. But like you said, I think the mocap studio and the Unreal expertise is what saves them
Mm-hmm.
from
Plus, I
being
mean,
closed
plus
down
that game's
completely.
coming out. That game's coming out on PlayStation. I feel like that
That
game will
hasn't stopped
probably.
them in the past, though. I mean, look, they closed Tango down weeks after announcing that a Hi-Fi Rush was being ported. So I don't think
I
that
know,
really
but
makes a huge difference.
Hellblade is a known quantity on PlayStation, though. I mean, not that that's going to help or not, but like
I
that
wonder
gives it
if
more of a
the
chance. I
the
think.
id Germany team is one that gets hit. They do a lot of the id tech stuff. I wonder if they'll get hit. We know that Machine Games canceled their multiplayer game they were supposedly working on. I wonder if they maybe have some redundancies now. I do think Mojang is another one. What's Mojang doing over there? Because last I
Not,
heard,
not
when
Minecraft too.
Dungeons was outsourced for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
and so was
And so is
Legends. So
Legends, I
I,
think. Yeah.
yep, yeah. So I really wonder. Like, I think that Andy is, or not Andy, but I think that some of the commenters I was seeing on like Reddit and whatnot are kind of on the mark of Mojang's probably going to get hit. I honestly, I would say like Mojang, King, probably the Call of Duty teams. The Warzone team is one I could see. That's where I would be personally looking for the cuts, but
Isn't that
we know
Raven?
that,
Wouldn't that look bad if you laid off people from a studio that has a union? Not, it's not
well, the whole
that.
the whole studio isn't unionized though. It's just the
I
QA
know, but
team.
you know how the
I don't
internet
think
likes to
so.
take things and run with it.
I don't think it would. I listen, layoffs happen at, studios like that all the time. The big deal about like having a union when it comes to layoffs is that like you have to get notice, you have to get severance packages, things like that. Like they're legally obligated to give that to you and improve working conditions, pay, clarity and things of that nature. So,
Mm-hmm.
man, I don't know what you do. I don't know. I'm done trying to rationalize the moves of billionaires, but it's very clear to me that people who are running Microsoft and directly overseeing Xbox, which is basically a tax write-off for them, by the way, $1 trillion company, can't afford to pay their employees. Just absurd to me. They're going so all in on chasing AI, and it's going to be the end of them. It's going to
I
be the
know.
end of them.
Did you see that they're introducing the Xbox Copilot into the mobile app soon?
Unfortunately,
Didn't know if you saw that, Josh. That little
I
nugget.
did unfortunately see that. I wanted to see some other. I wanted to see some other things. Jason Schreier, of course, had a piece on it. That was the piece I had seen. Was Jason Schreier talking about it? Um, so, but this is also like far from the first time. Like going back to Turn 10 real quick. I just, again, last thing I want to say on this that I was thinking about. Turn 10's kind of been in trouble for a while because Forza Motorsport 5, 6, and 7 weren't really hits. Like they sold well, don't get me wrong, but the hardcore community just bitched and moaned about them constantly. And then you had this one, which you waited years for, by the way. It took them like 6 or 7 years to cook this one up, and then it was bad. We hadn't gotten one since like 2017, and then you get this in 2023, and it was just bad. This was supposed to be like a platform that would keep growing too, and it just hasn't been good.
Yeah.
I do think that Horizon is, because Horizon also appeals to a much wider demographic, and that's okay. I do wonder, like at Rare, like we've heard there's been talk about Everwild lately. If that's nearing release, could they be getting hit? We know that Fable is going to be moving into it. Could they be like releasing some people from Fable that they no longer need, like narrative designers or something? We know they were part of an exodus like last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't know how much more you can trim off of the smaller studios and not be going after the Activision of it all. The Activision and the Mojang. I kind of forget Mojang is a first party studio sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these you kind of do, right? I mean, feels like that sometimes, at least.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, man. Well, let's get into the destiny of it all, I guess.
Yeah, we should probably talk about the game we're really here for, right?
Yeah, we should definitely talk about this. Busy week for Destiny.
Yeah,
Busy week,
I'd say.
busy week, and not in a bad way. It was definitely a
Oh,
busy week, though.
Josh, before we move on, sorry,
Yes.
I meant to tell you that this is at the top of the show, and you're gonna. Where's my phone? I need to send you a picture. I'll find it later. But so I was on vacation last week, which is why there was no show last week of any
Mm-hmm.
sort. My wife tells me we're in Hilton Head, and my wife tells me, "Hey, there's an Earl of Sandwich at Coligny Beach." And I'm like, "There is?" She's like, "Yeah." So we go there. All right. Josh, it's not Earl of Sandwich. It's the Earl of Sandwich with an extra E on the end of Earl.
Oh, that's funny. It's a knockoff.
Yeah, it's not even like it's just like some generic sandwich place. I was so sad.
Was it even good?
I didn't eat it. I refuse. Josh,
Oh
it
my
was a fake.
god.
I refuse. There's only one Earl of Sandwich.
Yeah. Well, I feel bad for you. I fully expected your show and tell to be you pulling out a sandwich.
I wish I would have.
Not like me. Fancy new Cooper flag jersey. Had to get it last night, right away.
Yeah.
Went to the arena. Had to watch it. Had to have it happen. And I bring this up because we got asked a sports question, which I'm going to address at the top of the show here, 15 minutes in. Got asked a question about what do we think about rematch. And I got to be honest, I can't tell you the last time I even contemplated playing a sports game.
Yeah.
I think I might have been
Sifu
like
soccer game, right?
Yes, I might have been like 19 the last time I seriously played a sports game.
Yeah, I played a lot of Madden.
I'm interested in this. Like a bunch of my friends who don't even like sports are playing it. It's basically soccer for It's a Rocket League soccer essentially, but it is on Game Pass. I believe it's on PS Plus. Yeah. I have heard good things about it for what it's worth, but Jiggly Panda, I'm sorry, I have nothing to offer you on this one, brother. Like there is nothing I can say about this game. I have not touched it. I haven't downloaded it. I have not played it. It's been a very busy week for reasons other than the Mavericks of it all and the destiny of it all. This has actually been a really busy week personally. I've kind of been like disconnected from the internet largely. Just checking in on some Discord chats, some family things going on. So may or may not be here for next week's show. We'll see, but rest assured, I will 100% be here for Edge of Fate launch. Speaking of the Edge of Fate, though, Corey, we have some things we have to talk about. God, that is an abominable sign. Holy shit!
I know, right?
That's awful.
We do have make you upset.
It actually does, like kind of irrationally so.
Yeah.
We have some Destiny to talk about though, and man, there's been a lot of changes that got announced. We had a big exotics update last week, a melee update. We had stuff from the live stream this week. I'm going to cover some main points from the live stream, but I am going to say that this live stream was pretty disappointing for the most part. If you had watched any of the content creator stuff that came out earlier in June, a lot of this was stuff that was just known. If you are watching this, and I think that's what frustrated a lot of people. I hope next week's is better. I am planning to cover next week's regardless. As long as I'm in town, I'm planning to cover it. But we are 3 weeks away right now from the Edge of Fate.
That's so insane. It's so close.
Yeah, we're a little under 3 weeks away, actually. We are about 19 days out from the Edge of Fate coming out on the 15th.
Doesn't even feel like it.
Does not even feel like it. I'm just kind of waiting for that notification that my collector's edition is shipped. I feel like those are going to start going out early next week. But 19 days to go until the Edge of Fate. I still don't know how I feel about this. I want to talk about the expansion real quick. I don't know how I feel about this overall. I was talking with a friend earlier today, and she said that she is not buying the expansion early. She's going to wait. She is like, she kind of echoed the same sentiment I've heard from several people, which is, man, Final Shape's kind of my jumping off point. I don't feel like they're going to top Salvation's Edge. I really like the ending to the campaign, the story. Feel like, got a pretty satisfying ending with the expansion, and the seasonal content just didn't do it. And I totally agree on all those points. I think the seasonal content's been really bad. I've emphasized that a lot. But
Yeah.
we move on. We keep going because we have to. I think this is probably the least enthusiastic I've been going into a Destiny expansion in a long time. It's not that I'm not hyped to play it. I'm actually very excited for what the story can be. But this first expansion is going to kind of make or break, I think, for me, because I've been so invested in the lore for so long. I'm so excited that we're getting the 9. But I don't like the way that any of this has been rolled out. I've said this to a few people. I've said it on this show, I believe. I don't like how they have gone about doing some of this, because why would you give all this information to content creators and have them come out and this and that, and then do a live stream with pretty much the exact same information with just a couple of changes? I think that's
You
a
know what
really
this
weird rollout. They obviously, sorry to cut you off. They've had the marathon of it all, and now they've had a studio controversy, so they kind of pulled back there. It's just
Yeah.
it's been a very weird series of decisions over the last 2 months or so.
Yeah. I mean, what this rollout has kind of spelled out to me is that they are very clearly losing veteran players,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they're trying to draw in the younger crowd with content creators that are either up and coming or kind of popular now with younger generations, or who play other games who are coming into Destiny, right? What isn't there's that one uh popular streamer who got into Destiny like a year ago, right? And he played everything up until the final shape and I don't know, something like that. My nephew was telling me about it, and like, but that worked
Mm-hmm.
for him. My nephew was 12, 13, and like he played a little bit of Destiny and then fell off because he's super into Fortnite, and he's really into this F1 racing game on Game Pass. But like
Yeah.
he he's like, I saw this cool new stuff for Destiny. Are you gonna get it? I was like, yeah. But like he was telling me about how he was watching it through content creators.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, well, maybe that's their angle, like a younger generation to pull new players in, I guess.
Yeah, I think that, like, I'm fine. I'm fine with that approach. That's what I was like saying. I like that Milo is one of the guys that they had there, because he has such a huge audience coming over from his zombies content.
Yeah.
That's a whole new audience that's never really been exposed to Destiny. I love that he's doing the blind raids and the blind dungeons and this and that. I think that my problem with it is this: we're seeing a lot of decisions being made around the Edge of Fate, not just with its rollout, but like with just changes coming to the game. These are things we asked for like 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago in some cases. Like, to me, the whole content creator rollout strategy should have started with like Beyond Light.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it should have been. Like, content creators have been such a huge part of your game ever since D1, that the fact that it took you this long to embrace them and to like embrace the raid race by partnering with Twitch rivals and things like that, it feels like all these really obvious choices that should have been made years ago, and not just because you started losing players and losing interest.
So
So
how much do you think that is about uh leadership and team turnover, though? Were some
mm,
of the people that they laid off, like maybe some of them were in charge of how this stuff rolled out, and then now they're gone and they have new people in there and they have new ideas or different ideas, or
I mean, their ideas seem to be doing fuck all. So, like, just
fair.
recently have they started making some better choices. I would argue they lost a lot of advocates who would have fought for some of the things that are happening now, but it's very clear to me that management did not listen to people inside the studio for a long time. I find it incredibly hard to believe that you didn't have people like DMG and Liana fighting for more community-led initiatives like this and community
I mean,
previews.
maybe they did, and like they were shot
I
down.
just It's so silly though. I don't understand. I don't understand a lot of the decisions that are made by the higher ups here. And this isn't just a Bungie thing. This is a Sony thing in general. Like this happens a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, like a live service game like this is going to live and die by its community, obviously, and it's going to live and die by like content creators are doing now what print was doing 6, 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember when I first started making content, Let's Plays were just starting to become a thing. Twitch was just starting to become popular when I started doing podcasting 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's funny, like I don't really like this streamer, but I think Tim the Tapman made a really good point earlier today saying that if you are streaming games on Twitch, you're kind of behind the times because IRL content is where it's at. Like
Yeah.
kids, how they used to obsess over YouTube in the 2010s is now how they are with streamers on Twitch, on Kick, on YouTube, on TikTok, especially TikTok. Like
Mm-hmm.
short form content is just kind of where it is. And
Yep.
I think that when you have somebody who's going in there, it's a player that you've watched a lot of, going in there and explaining the content, showing you detailed in menus how it's working. They're breaking it all down. They're taking the time to show you damage numbers and DPS and trials and this and that. I think that resonates with people a lot more than watching like a 12-hour stream or watching the developers just talk and not actually showing the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think all
Yeah.
that is how that kind of works.
Yeah. I mean that approach is more for people who have like the older gamers, I guess, like I guess like us who like
Us.
work during the day and have a second screen to watch stuff while they're typing numbers into spreadsheets or whatever, right? I mean, that kind of feels like where that aims at this point.
Sure.
You know, uh, it's
Like
kind of like
I'm
it's
not
kind of like
trying
how
to I know
podcasts are.
people like I know people get upset. They're like, "Oh, you know, Josh is too negative." Like that is something I've heard plenty of times, but and I'm really trying not to be negative here. I'm actually really excited for where the story can go here. I don't mind a lot of the things that were talked about. It's just I felt like that live stream was a waste of my time as someone who already absorbed this information a couple weeks ago.
Right.
It just feels very odd how this is rolled out. To me, I would have let the content creators make that, and then I would have done a follow-up stream like 2 days later because you already know what's going to be in their videos.
Yeah.
And instead, we're waiting a few weeks and pretty much going over the exact same thing. So there's not, for the hardcore fan base, there's not really a reason to tune in. And I'll be honest, your hardcore fan base is who's tuning into these streams. You're not getting randos just tuning into this. I mean, like, oh,
Yeah.
Bungie's going to talk about changes coming to Destiny 2. Oh, this is my time. Like, no,
Yeah.
you're
I
not
mean,
getting
randos don't even
casuals.
know like what to get out of it
Right. Well,
anyway.
like, and I mean, like, your more casual fan base isn't really tuning in to watch this because they don't give a shit about listening to damage numbers and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, they don't really care about that. They want to hear these changes explained to them, like explain it like I'm five, essentially.
Right.
And
Right.
I think that that's what some of the creators that went out and did this. I think that Datto did it really well. I think Fallout did it really well. I did not watch everybody, obviously. I think both of them did this really well. I watched a little bit of Milo's stuff. I think Milo does a really good job at explaining things and showing things.
Mm-hmm.
And he's approaching this as more of like somebody who just came into this game, also, which I think is a very valuable perspective for both for the community and for the development team. So I've been appreciating seeing that. I've seen a lot of people who, you know, they were part of the marathon tests and stuff, like decide they want to pick up Destiny. And well, that's gone pretty much how you expect it to. I don't say all that to complain, though. I do think there are some changes coming that are very interesting. So let's go ahead and jump in with last week's changes, I guess. Well, with what got announced last week, which is melee. Melee damage is changing in the Edge of Fate, Corey.
What?
The short version of this, almost all sources of increased melee damage are buffed. All sources of increased melee damage stack at full efficiency in PvE, and we are using additive damage increase calculation for melee damages. So melee, how it worked in the past was multiplicative. So the example they give, two hypothetical 50% damage increases are multiplied together for a total of 125% or 2.25 times damage increase. This approach to damage has problems. The more damage, the increasing effects apply to time, the more powerful they all become, which means the best builds and strategies can start to revolve around simply having as many buffs as possible. This is a pattern we saw prior to the mutually exclusive empowering damage buff system for weapons. Also, balancing the game becomes more and more difficult. So, how is it going to work now, you may ask? When the Edge of Fate is released, melee damage will be additive. So 2 hypothetical 50% damage increases will be added together for a total 100% damage increase. This does result in a lower damage ceiling for melee abilities, and it is unlikely that most bosses will ever be one-shot with melee abilities going forward, because we do not need to worry about someone stacking these melee buffs and trivializing most content in the game. We can do 2 very cool things. We are buffing almost all effects that increase melee damage, some of them by double the damage they do now, and in PvE, melee damage increasing effects will always stack at full value when applicable. So I like seeing all that. I think that's a good place to start as far as I'm concerned. So what does this mean for us long term? So the damage bonus provided by the melee stat is considered to be an increase in the base damage of a player's melee attacks and abilities, and it's multiplicative with other damage increases. In short, if you're putting together a melee build, you'll want to get your melee stat as high as possible. That's nothing new, right? Melee damage also no longer scales scorch and ignition damage generated by melee attacks. The logic behind this change is similar to the logic underlying the jolt damage scaling increases we made a while back. We think it's healthier for elemental verbs to have a consistent effect regardless of the source that applied them. We've opted for a more targeted change here, and Incinerator Snap and Consecration Slam remain powerful options. One of the other things that's going to happen here is it's going to affect glaives. I'm a big glaive user. I love my glaive. Glaive melee is considered an unpowered melee ability going forward. Anything that increases the strength of unpowered melee abilities will now increase the strength of glaive melee, including the melee stat. But it does come at a cost. We needed to reduce their base melee damage in PvE to bring it more in line with an unpowered melee attack, but even after these changes, Glaive melee has a much higher DPS output than unpowered melee attacks do, probably because of how fast you can swing. Unpowered melee ability, you get full effects on glaives, including damage increases from Syntheseps, Knockout, Offensive Bulwark, Combination Blow, Spark of Feedback, Worm God Caress, Banner of War, and Stylish Executioner. Love seeing this on Stylish Executioner. Glaive melee triggers all effects triggered by any melee ability. They will no longer benefit from some damage bonuses like Radiant, but effects that modify the behavior of base melee attacks, such as the Titan Knockout aspect, will not affect the behavior of Glaive melee either. Glaive melee damage in PvE has been adjusted to compensate for increased access to melee damage and increased effects, blah, blah, blah. Damage against minors and majors reduced by 40%. Damage against champions and mini-bosses by 28.5%. And melee against bosses reduced by 50%. Oh boy. There are some real changes coming with these melee abilities. But on the surface, I don't hate this for glaives. I don't know if I love it, but with how fast you can swing a glaive, that's quicker than an unpowered melee. I kind of get why they did it. I'm one of those who I like meleeing with my glaive, but I really like shooting it too. I like to shoot something, especially with an Enigma or a Judgment of Kel'Garath, and make something volatile or make them scorched with incandescent, and then go up and start doing some combos on them. I do like that. Yeah. Big fan of it. I also love running around an Iron Banner with Rat King and a glaive and a full stack. That's always really fun.
Rat King.
Dude, you haven't lived until you've Rat Kinged.
I know, the point of Rat King, when you get everyone together with the Rat Kings, and it just does that thing it does, right? It's so powerful, but every time I think about the Rat King, it just makes me laugh.
I love it. I love it. It's so goofy. I'm a fan. I really, really think that you just get funny things going. So I'm going to try and go through some of these as quickly as I can, because we have a lot of exotic armor to get to also. And we have 2 very big twabs here. So I'm going to hit some highlights here. I assume a lot of us have looked at ability changes for melees already, but some of the big ones for me on Prismatic, Facet of Courage, PvE melee damage bonus is going to increase from 10 to 50%. Spark of Feedback is going to go from 75 to 100. works with glaive melee. PvE melee damage is no longer decreased when used with Synthos, Liars, Knockout, Worm God, 1-2, or Winter's Guile. Roaring Flames for Titans. Maximum PvE damage bonus increased from 73% to 200%. Roaring Flames increases solar ability damage, and glaive melee is always kinetic. We have opted to follow the rules as written for this one for now, so Roaring Flames does not scale glaive melee damage as of right now. Knockout, PvE uncharged melee damage bonus increased from 100 to 160. PvE charged increased from 50 to 160. Offensive Bulwark, same for the PvE melee damage. Banner of War increased for user and allies. Melee bonus damage increased from 40 to 100%. Hunter's Stylish Executioner. Melee damage bonus in PvE increased from 200 to 300%. Works with glaive melee. Now works with every melee ability if the ability makes contact while you are leaving invisibility. In other words, projectile melee abilities like Threaded Spike will benefit from the damage increase if you use it at point blank. I love this. You could basically sit there and just like keep hammering something over and over again and just catching the spike. That combined with some of the new stuff that's coming, there's some opportunities for some really, really funky strand builds. Combination Blow, maximum damage increased from 300 to 400%. Now works with Tempest Strike in PvE. And it works with the grapple melee. I know a lot of people who are excited about the grapple being on there. I'm personally more excited about Tempest Strike because I run that a lot on my Hunter. Exotic armor changes, just going through really quickly. Aetherius's Embrace, the weighted knife damage bonus is going to go from 200 to 300. Liar's Handshake and Spirit of Liar from 200 to 400%. Ophidius Fate is going from 100 to 200, and Triton Vices going from 100 to 200. Two of those are two of the most valuable Hunter exotics in the game, with Aetherius's and Liars. So, Aetherius is maybe not as valuable, obviously, but I really like it for doing the knives. That's really fun. Titan, Heart of Inmost Light is going to go from 20 to 50%. Peregrine Greaves, shoulder charge ability impact damage bonus against non-champion, non-tormentor, and non-mini-boss targets increases from 363 to 400. Syntheseps and Spirit of Syntheseps. Melee bonus damage is unchanged, but will no longer be decreased when used with Combination Blow, Stylish Executioner, or the Glaive Melees. It will, however, be decreased against players when used with Lightning Surge. Wishful Ignorance is going PvE is going to go from in Frenzied Blade from 100 to 200, and Fletched Storm will go from 50 to 200. Worm God Caress is going from 275 to 400. And then Warlocks are getting on Winter's Guile 275 to 400%. That's huge. There's so much going on with all of this. And of course, we can't leave out 1-2 Punch. 1-2 Punch, one of the best shotgun perks out there. PvE melee damage bonus increased from 100 to 150%. Works with all melee bonuses now, and no longer decreased when used with Liar's Handshake. Increased time perk is active to 3 seconds. I have been using 1-2 Punch a lot with Legend of Acreus in the first encounter of Prophecy, farming out that ultimatum encounter. It's just been invaluable, absolutely invaluable for the runs that we've been doing. So excited to see that. There is a big change coming to Winterbite also that I'm really excited about. Now receives melee damage bonuses from a variety of sources, and will reduce enhanced melee damage with ammo to 20% versus bosses, down from 50%. I think they saw what people were doing in the second encounter of Ghosts during the Rite of the Nine and said, yeah, this has to go. Yeah, this is not what we intended at all here. So I kind of like seeing that. I like it. I'm a big glaive guy, so honestly, I probably wouldn't be as invested. But hearing that it's going to be with glaives and it's all being kept to PvE is really exciting for me. These are not affecting PvP. Whew. All right, we're going to fly through exotic armor. There were some pretty big exotic armor changes that need to be talked about. Starting with Dragon's Shadow on the Hunters. Dragon's Shadow and Speedloader Slacks, pretty similar as they are right now in game. But Dragon's Shadow is getting a change. They're both getting changes, but we're going to fly through these really quickly. Dragon Shadow now passively increases weapon stability and ready speed. Dodging will reload your equipped weapon, but not your holstered weapon. And activating dodge ability grants following effects for a short time: stability, handling, move speed, sprint, slide, and ADS strafe speeds, and increased class stat. Dragon Shadow is about to be used an awful lot in PvP, I think. So that's pretty exciting to see. I've been a proponent of Dragon Shadow, but I already have I'm one of the very few people who already had the reload dodge on. So now you could have this with the Gambler's dodge, and that'll be big, especially in a world where we're going to be nuking RDMs again. Speedloader Slacks will now dodging reloads all weapons and grants increased handling and reload speed for you and nearby allies. While this buff is active, additional charges increase the strength of the buff and refresh the timer. Dealing sustained damage grants class energy. So that's actually like really good, I think, for you to be able to be doing that like during boss damage. If you're dealing sustained damage, just like, okay, as soon as you get a dodge, bam, 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 you can just sit there and be spamming it during a long DPS phase or during a roaming DPS also. So I like seeing that. I think there's actually a reason to use Speedloader Slacks after almost 2.5 years. There's actually a reason to use this fucking exotic now. Just God, talk about disappointment from Lightfall. Mask of
Who was
Bacchus.
disappointed in Lightfall, Josh?
Who wasn't disappointed in Lightfall? Mask of Bacchus. I like this. It is mostly a PvP exotic, which they make use of here. I have a buddy who uses this a lot, or at least used to use it religiously in his PvP build. Mask of Bacchus, its effects are now going to be active whenever an arc or stasis super is equipped. So no longer provides a non-stacking surge damage bonus, but will grant a 10% damage bonus for eligible weapons. So Stasis, Arc, and Lord of Wolves. Stacks up to 3 times, and while active, weapon final blows grant class energy. I like this. This is a Fallen-themed exotic. This makes a lot of sense here. Kefri Sting is getting an update. Removed automatic smoke bomb activation when using a melee attack. Removed true sight when dealing damage with smoke bomb, but when you kill weakened targets, creates a burst of weakening smoke and returns smoke bomb energy. That's fine. Oath Keepers, just okay, cool. Increase maximum damage output from 150 to 200%. Cool. Blight Ranger. This thing's been a catastrophe ever since it came out. If you guys care about Blight Ranger, you can go read about that. I don't personally care about Blight Ranger, and I know very few people who do. Let's move into Titans though.
Ooh.
Crest of Alpha Luffy will now, in its additional effects, will now, because it is the one-stop shop for the support Titan fantasy, add sustained damage while behind a barricade will trigger another smaller healing pulse. Healing grants your allies barricade, or healing your allies grants barricade energy.
Whoa.
So I like this in combination with Bolt Charge, obviously. I think that's really important. This is a way to kind of keep some of the artifact alive from this season.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. This is an example of a good change. And, obviously it's going to continue, I believe, with Spirit of Alpha Luffy. They said one of the goals here with Edge of Fate is to look at some of the support-oriented exotics that aren't as popular. So I love hearing that. That's really cool. Phoenix Cradles is going to get additional effects. Dealing sustained solar damage in a sunspot extends duration, and providing solar buffs to allies has the chance to create a sunspot at your feet. We like that. Path of the Burning Steps, increase solar weapon damage and solar ignition damage based on the number of stacks of Roaring Flame you have. 1, 2, 3 stacks grant 10, 15, 20% bonus solar damage and 5, 10, 15% bonus ignition damage. Stacks with surges also. That thing is going to be wild, I think. I'm pretty excited. They're returning it to the glory days from before Season of the Wish, and specifically saying how excited they are to use this with Polaris Lance. Polaris Lance, anything with Incandescent is going to be really, really fun with this. Actium War Rig. Auto rifle or machine gun final blows increase stability, ammo regen, and damage. Stacks up to 10 times. And then
Jeez.
Spirit of Alpha Lufi, this is only going to get the one change. It's going to get the healing your abilities grants class ability energy. So it does still behoove you to have that on a exotic of some kind. I believe that can roll on any classes exotic. So I like the idea of that, especially if you're running like a warlock or a hunter. So I think that's one of the ones that can be on everything, but I may be mistaken. It's been a long year, man. Oh boy!
What? No,
All
it
right,
hasn't.
I'm trying to fly through the rest of this. We have some pretty big changes with the warlocks. Starfire Protocol will now activate on radiant damage. Increased fusion grenade energy gain from dealing damage from 2.5 to 5%. Reduced energy gain from final blows from 20 to 15%. Kind of just evens itself out, I think. Fellwinter's Helm will now have the text of powered melee damage weakens targets, applies a 15% weaken, and weaken effects applied by the burst via melee or finisher final blows are unchanged. The big one for me, I really like Boots of the Assembler here. This is a huge one. I think Speaker Sight largely outclasses Boots the Assembler, is potent at healing allies, produces orbs to your build, does not require you to stand in a rift to get benefits. Boots of the Assembler are just not that smart. The Noble Seekers are not. So, we sent them to college. Noble Seekers essentially will now target allies more reliably, spread out their healing much more efficiently, and give a more flexible benefit when they find an ally. There's a whole bunch of changes here. I'll let you guys go read those in the interest of saving my voice. And Geomags, they kind of nuked Geomags from orbit, I'm going to be honest. Reduced super energy granted by ionic traces to 4%, down from 7%. Returned sprinting to top off bolt charge, or retuned, I guess I should say. Decreased bolt charge stacks required before sprinting will grant additional stacks from 6 to 5. Decreased amount of time required for sprinting to start granting bolt charge from 2 seconds to 1. Increased rate bolt charge is granted while this effect is active from 1 every 1.5 seconds to 1 every 0.33 seconds. So it's great for bolt charge regen, maybe not for your super as much. Because, man, that talk about unlimited power. That thing is wild. Geomags are hopelessly, irreparably busted once again. Have been most of this season. So that's kind of cool to see, I think. All right. Whew. I should have brought a drink with me.
Do you need to go get a drink? I can.
No, I do not need to go get a drink. I can power through this.
You got anything not called water sitting in front of you, Josh?
No, I finished my protein shake before we got started. I might have a tiny bit of this beverage on my desk when I was working earlier. Let me see.
Gotta keep like a super flag.
I had a swig. Yeah, this is not a Cooper Flag approved beverage. He's sponsored by Gatorade. All right, before we get into kind of recapping some of the stream from this week, because man, I'm going to let y'all kind of go watch it yourselves. We're going to go over some of it in here, but I'm not going to read it, to completion. There are a few things I want to get into with like the featured exotics, some of the big changes coming to aspects, because there's big ability changes coming. I want to go into a lot of that, talk about the new rewards pass, things like that. I have not had a chance to read a lot of this today, so we're going to kind of just go through it as a group here. Next developer stream, Tuesday, July 1st, which is going to be a stream more about Kepler and what's coming with Age of Fate. We're planning to give you a glimpse of the campaign, crank up the difficulty with world tiers, let you see how this and all the other new sandbox changes come together. We'll share many deals about power, progression, portal, guardian ranks, quality of life changes, and more. I'm kind of excited to hear about all that. I'm still really skeptical about how Portal is going to work and how easy it's going to be to navigate, because right now it just kind of looks like a mess to me, but the current director is also a mess. So here we are.
Here we are.
So I am interested in seeing that. There is a tease here, right smack in the middle of the uh, TWAB, talking about some of the stuff that's going to be in the Year of Prophecy Collector's Edition. Um, Clearly, like some of the lore that's going to be in there. Some of it's redacted, obviously. Um, Interested to see how that goes. Again, hopefully this comes in like the next week or two so that I can unbox it and show it off to you guys. I don't know if I'll do a full unboxing, but I'll at least like have everything to show on stream. Um, and we'll read from the lore books, obviously. Want to get more into lore corners as we get into Edge of Fate. Something that I've really neglected over the last year, unfortunately. It's just, man, and really know where to go with it. We talked about a lot of this a few weeks ago when we talked about the Datto, Fallout, and Milo videos that I watched. You guys can kind of go back and listen to the last episode we did. I talked about a lot of this, the last episode or the episode before. I kind of lose track of where it was. But bottom line, set bonus. This was something they talked about. Think about it. It's like an origin trait for armor. I think this is really, really cool because it's going to get us to be like, well, hey, this armor had this set bonus, and from like a year or two ago and stuff. I think it makes world gear actually matter and seasonal gear actually matter, because for a while it's just been like, oh, here's extra XP essentially if you use the seasonal shit, and nobody cares about that. We're all set in our ways. This now I need to clarify, because I don't think it's been talked about. I need to know if the perks will be applied if you transmog or not. Like, will equipping the transmog give the bonus to you like Iron Banner armor does? I would imagine that's how it works. But if this has been clarified somewhere, I apologize. Again, been a busy couple of weeks. If anybody knows, feel free to DM me and let me know, because I scoured and did not find anything on this, unfortunately. They give some example of some of the perks that you could get here. Aeon renewals, for example. After a final blow with missiles, rocket launchers, and GLs, sprint for a short time to gain speed booster. And then when you have 4 pieces, you get the reactive booster. Sprinting while at critical health, being suspended or being slowed by stasis will immediately grant speed booster for a short duration. And then there's another one called the Tech Sex. With the Wrecker perk, deals significantly increased kinetic damage to overshields, combatant shields, and constructs, and then concussive rounds for 4 pieces. Defeating powerful combatants or breaking a combatant shield with kinetic damage releases a disorienting kinetic shockwave. I do like that. I'm a very, very big fan of kinetic tremors. This paired with that could be really cool. It's one of the first like synergies that I've kind of seen that I really, really like. Also, I think this will pair really well with Microcosm. When you think about breaking shields with kinetic damage, and that's designed to go through shields quickly. So I think that's really cool. There are going to be armor archetypes. They talked about this really quickly. We'll fly through it. Paragon, which is where your super is primary, melee is secondary. Grenadier, grenade primary, super secondary. Specialist, class primary, weapon secondary. Brawler, obviously melee and health. Bulwark, health and class, and Gunner, weapons and grenade, respectively. So, in regards to masterworking, again, just kind of hit some of the highlights here. Masterworking, all armor drops will now have their maximum armor energy available regardless of masterwork level. Masterworking armor will no longer increase all stats. The amount gained by the primary, secondary, and tertiary stats rolled will not change, with the exception of armor mods. Masterworking now increases your lowest 3 stats on that piece of armor by +1 with each level, which has a maximum of +5 in each, or 15 total. So it behooves you to masterwork your armor, even if it's not like, oh, I didn't get like all the stats I wanted. It still behooves you to do it, because everything's going to get a little bit of a bump. I think the total number of stats you can get is something like 500. Theoretically, you could do 2 200s and then do a couple 50s, where get as close to 200 as you want to on a couple of those. Do like a couple 180s or something, which probably is the path I'll take, is like 170 to 180 on 2. And then probably try to get like 70 or 80 on the others, depending on how bad my math is here. So That would be something I would be targeting. Um, Gear tiers. There's 5 different tiers, and that corresponds to the total amount of stats. So tier 1 is 67 to 62, or 67 to 72. I'm just going to read the masterworked ones. Tier 2 is 73 to 78. Tier 3, 79 to 84. Tier 4, 85 to 90, with an extra mod energy bonus. And then tier 5 at 90 will give you extra mod energy and a random tune stat. Armor with a tune stat has access to a tuning mod slot, allowing you to choose between moving 5 stats from any other stat to your tune stat or balance tuning, which increases the armor's 3 lowest stats by 1. So I like that. Legacy gear will still be useful and great on ramp into the new system. We'll have more information, how to earn higher gear tiers, specific on weapon tiers, and more in an upcoming article. I really hate that we are 19 days out and do not have this information. This is totally maddening to me. Why on earth would you not have this information? You are 19 days. You are 19 days. I don't know. You are 19 days out and you have not shared this information. That is really weird to me. When it is as big of a change as you're making it out to be, that is just very bizarre to me. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, it seems bizarre.
It's bizarre and not in a good way. So I'm pretty frustrated by that overall, I think.
Yeah.
So
pretty confusing.
It's,
to say the least.
It's very confusing. So yeah. New gear. I still kind of like that. I like the idea of this. I like that with new gear, you will get some bonuses to it. It is to encourage you to use that gear. I don't think that is inherently bad. I do like that it gives you an advantage in PvE because it's going to keep those people who want to constantly optimize everything. It's going to keep them on their toes and keep them grinding, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a PvP playlist. This is the one I'm excited for, where players must use new gear to face off against each other, with the intention being to create a more even playing field for newer players and test out builds for those who want to experiment. New gear will include a 10% bonus for weapon damage and 15% bonus for damage resistance. These bonuses will not apply to PvP or contest mode of the raid. We'll have additional information at a later date, how this system works, what gear qualifies, and more. Again, well, to quote Dark Helmet, when will then be now? Because you are.
Am I going to answer that question in the next movie?
You have a holiday weekend coming up. You do not have much time. You have, in terms of business days, you have like 8 business days. I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah. I'm going to say they're going to.
You have 11 business days between now and the Edge of Fate dropping.
I'm going to say that they're going to be working some nights and weekends.
I just don't know why you can't just. You told us back at the beginning of May we were going to get lots of articles and live streams and things like that over the coming months, and it took you until the end of June to even get one of those out. You let the content creators come in and make stuff. Cool. Maybe that stuff should have been released in like May so we could do a, not botched rollout of all this. Now I'm like terrified of what the next 2 weeks are going to bring in terms of the amount of like articles dropping.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not even like complaining about this from like a like content creator perspective. I'm complaining about this from like a player perspective who wants to know what the fuck is going on going into a raid day 1 race. I want to know. I want to know what I'm getting myself into with a legendary campaign here.
Yeah. I mean, they need to get this information out. This is not a final shape. We're going to, keep everything close to the vest until it comes out, right? Like this is essentially relaunching Destiny in a way. Like you got
this is Destiny 3 in all but name.
Yeah, you got to get it out there. It's confusing. I don't know, Josh. I don't want to say I'm concerned, but it is.
I'm not concerned. I just don't like the drip feed. If we had started this process months ago, or even like 2 months ago, I would have been fine with it.
Well, my concern is like what you said earlier is like they said we were going to get all this information and content from them specifically, and then you get this weird rollout with the content creators and nothing from them essentially.
And when they do finally do a live stream, a lot of it was stuff that was already covered, with the exception of some weapons stuff, which I'm going to talk about here at the end because I am actually really excited about that. But even that, two of those weapons we even got revealed in that with the content creators.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, unfortunately. Shit, there's so much here. Okay. All right, let's jump into exotic armor real quick. Your existing rolls will be converted 1-1 to new stats. New drops of exotic armor will be upgraded to armor 3.0. Means they will have their stats determined by archetypes, receive the new masterworks, and drop with full mod energy by default. These drops will not have a specific gear tier. Their stats will roll as if they were tier 2. Once masterwork, they should be comparable to all but the very best armor 2.0 rolls. To make this transition easier, 801 is offering 20 free focused exotic armors. Will be available throughout the year of prophecy and allow you to focus any non-class item exotic from the final shape or before with an archetype of your choice, as long as you have unlocked in collections. There's the catch. You have to have it unlocked in collections. I was looking forward to using this as a catch-up mechanic for my Warlock. Not anymore. Exotic class items, they are the only armor from before the Edge of Fate that will be converted fully into the new system. Each one will receive the maximum stats available for an exotic, 30, 20, and 13. To prevent this from massively increasing the number of possible class item rolls, these stats will be assigned based on their rolled perks, the archetype being determined by the left column perk and the territory stat by the right column perk. This does not mean they can no longer be upgraded to Artifice armor, and they will lose any existing Artifice mod slot. That's a fair trade-off, I feel. Again, don't really love that, but it is what it is. So there's some choices. There are some choices being made here. Gear swapping. So this is one that they did not do. Sanguine Alchemy. Many Guardians have been leveraging an interesting strategy mid-combat or boss DPS with exotics like Sanguine Alchemy, where they swap gear to take advantage of alternate exotic bonuses that better fit the current point in the encounter's flow. This is to maximize efficiency and output, resulting in pumping out some incredible boss fakes, especially in ultimatum dungeons. While we fully applaud those throughout the community who want to push the needle as far as I can go, we've found this is presenting balance issues where it feels mandatory and don't feel the main draw of the exotic should be centered around swap-centric strategies. Sanguine Alchemy, swapping to this exotic in combat will now apply a 10-second cooldown before its perk can be activated. Much like the changes to melee stacking in the previous TWID, we want to be able to make exotics that meaningfully change your gameplay, and at current, these types of behavior are constricting how much we can push that bar. The above change is a minor first step that's targeting one exotic during launch window, but we'll be making a larger approach later this year. When this holistic fix is implemented, we'll re-examine this change and see if it's still necessary. Starting with the Edge of Fate, certain exotic armor and weapons will be specially featured, gaining the same benefits as new gear, and will change with each expansion and major update. At Edge of Fate's launch, 28 exotic weapons and 15 exotic armor for each class will be included, including all new Edge of Fate exotic weapons and armor. But if your favorite is not on the list, you'll still be able to use it almost everywhere you go. There's a lot here. They're really trying to focus on some of the ones that they are buffing as you go down here. I do notice that things like there are some like Lunafactions are not on here. I do not believe Celestial Nighthawk is on here. I'm more interested in the weapons column. So the weapons, God, this is such a long list. I'm not going to go through it, but some of the weapons that are going to get bonuses include Dead Man's Tale, Outbreak Perfected, Barrow Dyad, Wish Keeper, New Land Beyond, obviously. Arbalist, Navigator, Choir of One, Polaris Lance, Graviton Lance, Devil's Ruin, Lodestar, Microsm, Winterbite, Worldline Zero, Graviton Spike, and Redacted. Legend of Acreus is also on this list. I think Legend of Acreus and Tommy's Matchbook being on here are two of the more underrated ones. Aegir Scepter, Rejoice if you are a trace rifle lover. That's on this list. So that's going to be fun, I think, to see.
A lot of interesting things on this list.
A lot of interesting things on this list. Some of the Man, some of the buffed exotics are going to be really interesting too, because it's some that I haven't even like thought about in years. But a lot of them are ones that have
Yeah.
already been talked about, or they're like melee centric ones. Like for example,
Mhm.
Aetheris's Embrace, Caliban's Hand, Kefri's Sting. All three of those are on here for Hunters. Mask of Bacchus is on
Ah,
here. Star Eater Scales.
I'm finally gonna have to take off my helm of Saint 14, Josh.
I mean, you don't have to. You probably should, but you don't
I
have to.
mean, according to this list, I need to probably at some
I
point.
mean, all this is just giving you the same benefits as New Gear, so you're just getting a bonus if you use this stuff.
I
So
know.
for
I love the
me, like I
bonuses,
like that.
Josh.
I've been running a Star Eater Scales heavy build lately, so I'm excited for that personally. I like that some of the staples for hunters at least are not here, including Orpheus rigs and Celestial Nighthawk. RDMs are obviously not here. It makes sense. I like this,
Mhm.
and I like that it's going to change each and every major update. So you only have to wait like 3 months for this to change. If you don't like it, it happens. So,
Mhm.
um, all right. Balancing the scale of abilities. We're like halfway through this thing. Jesus Christ. We've talked about the fragment slots that are getting adjusted, but Hellion and Bleak Watcher on Warlock Prismatic are being reduced from 3 to 2. Prismatic Strand, Weaver's Call can now generate threadlings on any final blow instead of just strand final blows. I love that. I think that is awesome. You just sit there and just generate threadlings regardless of what you're running. That's an awesome change, I think, because I like Weaver's Call on Prismatic. And then Void, your pocket singularity damage versus non-boss combatants is being increased by 20%, but damage versus bosses by 56%. Because pocket
Jeez.
singularity was feeling weak compared to other melees. You do have to be right up in their face to use this effectively, so I get it. Titan Prismatic Consecration being reduced from 3 to 2 aspects. A moment of silence for Consecration, please.
Rip.
All right. I say that to say that Consecration is getting nerfed a bit on Prismatic because it was just so overpowered. But on Solar, Consecration is going from 2 to 3 fragments. And I like the note here. We've given Consecration an additional fragment slot on Solar to put it above Prismatic counterpart. Pure concentrated Solar subclass should have an edge here. I agree with that. Prismatic is kind of the best of both worlds. I think the dedicated subclasses should have a bit of an edge because then that makes them more appealing to play, I think. I don't know if you're sacrificing Prismatic Titan to go play Solar Titan at that point, but it at least offers some intriguing ideas and some new build crafting you could begin to explore, especially with the new Mjolnir exotic that is coming for Titans. I really like they were showing that with the throwing hammer returning. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's super cool. I'm
Dringer's
into it.
Lash. Increased tracking strength of base suspend wave and Abaliant Leap exotic armor suspend wave. Increased base suspend wave travel distance from 20 to 30 meters and suspend wave distance for Abaliant Leap from 30 to 35. Okay, cool. Prismatic Solar Consecration Ignition no longer has plus 20% bonus damage. That is on both Prismatic and Solar. We made this change to match the other ignition damage scaling changes we mentioned in the last TWAB, making ignition damage consistent across the board. So it's still going to be a very good option. It's just not going to be maybe like the S plus tier anymore. And that's okay. That's okay. Consecration has been so overpowered for so long. I've watched friends just take apart entire bosses by themselves with Consecration. And Consecration only. So I'm okay with seeing this. The one that I'm pretty excited to see here. Void Shield Throw Melee increased projectile tracking strength by 77%.
Jeez.
This melee can be hard to hit and land in the heat of the moment, so we made it track enemies more aggressively. This is going to get nerfed. They are not going to let this go. They're not going to let this actually be out in the wild at 77%. There's no way. There is no way. The two friends I have who use this are absolute monstrosities when they are on their game. I see that shield just fly around and I get scared and I'm on their team. So I don't feel like this is making it very long with 77%. I actually imagine that maybe like the first major update, this gets reduced to like 40%. I don't think it's going to be that high. They said something during the live stream that didn't really sit super well with me, which was like, well, and I mean it's something we've all known for a long time, right? Like there's only so much you can do in a test environment. We're kind of relying on everyone who plays this to test the changes for us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really love the admission of that out loud on a stream, personally, even though we like all feel that way. And it's like, if you know anything about game dev, that is just how it works. You will get infinitely more results and quicker results from seeing the community play with it.
Yeah.
All right. Storm's Keep. You can no longer get benefits when standing behind multiple barricades. Storm's Keeper stacking resulted in faster than intended bolt charge accrual, so we've limited the number of Storm's Keep barricades that Guardian can benefit from to 1. Because, man, bolt charge has just been an absolute monstrosity this season. It's been really fun, but it's time. Moving on, our last class that we got to cover, of course, is Hunters. The Gambler's Dodge. Melee energy return no longer requires dodging near an enemy. You can dodge anywhere with Gambler's Dodge, which is making people very upset in a post-RDM's world. They thought we were finally done with the dodging bullshit. Nope, not so much. The dev note here says, with the armor changes coming in Edge of Fate, sources of ability energy will now scale based on your ability stats. This includes the Gambler's Dodge. Because this ability now requires some stat investment to get a full charge back, we're removing the requirement that you dodge near an enemy for the perk to work. This will make the dodge feel more consistent, returning energy on every dodge instead of only when there are enemies in an invisible circle around the hunter. I like that. I agree with it. Prismatic. Reducing the fragments provided by Ascension and Winter Shroud from 3 to 2. Gunpowder Gamble. Reduce self-damage from Gunpowder Gamble by 60%. Why was this not done like 3 years ago? Okay. Final blows of all kinds now grant Gunpowder Gamble progress instead of just solar kills. I really like that. I like that. I do think that Gunpowder Gamble is still kind of a niche thing. I personally don't like running it too much because I blow myself up. But also, it's really hard to take off Stylish Executioner and like On Your Mark and whatnot. Which I'm very excited that this changed to On Your Mark. Now that I said that, great segue. Final blows while at 3 stacks of On Your Mark. What the fuck was that just fell? Make final 3 stacks of On Your Mark now make you radiant for a short time. Activating your class ability now gives 1 stack of On Your Mark instead of 3 stacks. Again, fair trade-off. I would rather get radiant just auto-procking than getting 3 stacks from dodging, to be quite honest. I hit my shots. I play on controller. I have aim assist. So I think that's really cool. I like the dev note here. We think Gunslinger needs more access to Radiant. Yeah, that's the class. That's literally the class identity. Yes, please. Allowing them a 4th stack of On Your Mark in the form of Radiant. Beyond this, we'll be focusing on further improving Gunslinger's kit in an upcoming release. Good, because let me tell you something. Celestial Nahak has become meta again for damage, and oh boy, sometimes activating Radiant is pretty tricky. That dodge when you are in when you're on Gunslinger, oh boy, you dive forward and you're really hoping you don't die or get in the way of somebody's rocket. Ascension can now be activated by a handful of perks and exotics. That's really cool. All classes are getting increased damage versus bosses, mini bosses, and champions by 15% for Flux, Arc Bolt, Flashbang, Storm, Axiom Bolt, Suppressor, Firebolt, Trip Mine, and Rock Grenades. That's the one that comes from Forerunner. So 15% extra damage on all grenades, on all those grenades at least. I really like that. I like running suppression grenades personally. Big fan there. I like that, and I like the storm grenades on my Arc class, so very excited for that. Ability energy returns from perk, and passive regen now scales based on the requisite stat. We've been over that. Devour. Reduce Devour heal amount from 200 HP to 140. I think that that's going to probably tick off some folks, but the reality is Devour was kind of out of control. Let's just be totally honest. It was far and away the best healing build. I think that and Melee, Punchy Hunter are both just out of control. Base suspend duration has been increased from 5 to 6 seconds. Stasis shatter damage now stuns overload champs instead of unstop champs. I like that. Moving forward, we want to make it clearer how and when weapons can gain anti-champ capabilities from sources like Artifact or Radiant. Because stacking stasis slow organically leads to stasis shatter, it limited how often we could give slow to certain weapons without auto-solving champion encounters. Overload champs are also harder to deal with than unstoppable champs in general. Agreed. So more way to bring down overload champs feels valuable. Unstoppable champions can still be stunned by blind, ignition, and suspend. And then the Flux Grenade significantly reduced base cooldown time with increased projectile size to make it easier to stick targets. I think we're done with all the changes. I think we're done with all the sandbox changes.
Are you sure?
I hope so. All that being said, I like a lot of these changes. I don't really know what. I don't think I saw a lot around today's TWAB, but I saw a lot of pessimism around the stream earlier this week. Obviously, and I think a lot of that is a combination of people who already saw all that information on content creators or who did not see that information and felt it was unnecessarily vague in a lot of ways, which it really was. It was a pretty vague stream. With that taken into consideration, though, I do like a lot of these changes. And I gotta highlight two things that I really loved seeing in this stream. One, there's a rocket pulse rifle, Corey. I don't know if you know this, but I've mained a rocket sidearm for like a year and a half now.
I've heard you talk about this once or twice, Josh.
I've shown a lot of love to Indebted Kindness. Is that the arc one from Warlords? I'm trying to remember. The one from Warlords, that very first one that we got, the first legendary one, I used a lot of. Obviously, Aberrant Action has been my go-to for the last year. It is far and away the best craftable weapon that you can go get, I think, from the last year leading into the Edge of Fate. I would recommend everybody go get it. It is part of the last suite of weapons that you can actually get craftable from seasonal stuff. That and Lost Signal, I cannot recommend either one of those highly enough. I think they've both been incredible this year. So, and I have a fun Lotus Eater that I'm waiting to use on my Void build.
Lotus Eater.
Yes. Let's talk about the rewards pass.
Let's do that.
Much like ye olden times, there will be 4 rewards passes available during the Year of Prophecy. The cost for these rewards passes being reduced to 1,000 silver. But we're excited to announce every rank reward will be available to earn day 1, no longer having to wait for a new act to launch to unlock more ranks. We've also made them feel more rewarding too. We've refactored some boosts and added new ones, removing some that were determined to be less desirable. The new boosts offer comprehensive bonuses that apply to a wide range of content as opposed to narrowly boosting specific seasonal content. Activity score boost now provides a 15% score bonus on all portal activities when fully unlocked. That's cool. I like that. Prime Engram boost increases the possibility of desirable armor and weapon drops from portal activities. Weekly Challenge Boost allows players to complete their various weekly seasonal hub challenges faster, streamlining access to additional high-value rewards. XP Boost has been refactored to apply a 40% bonus to XP earnings when fully unlocked, along with a 20% bonus to Fireteam member XP. Additionally, the total number of XP Boost items has been reduced to make space for additional rewards. I like this. I think that's cool. I don't like the idea that it kind of sounds like pay to win with the weekly challenge, but the XP Boost sounds awesome. Really like that. Premium track armor rewards have also been reworked, so players will acquire a full set of both PvE and PvP armor, and the free track will offer 5 pieces split between the 2 sets, allowing players to unlock a partial set bonus for each. Third, we took a pass at our reward allocation to ensure we are providing as much value as possible for all players. The allocation of various free rewards has been increased, and players will be able to acquire more cosmetic rewards within the first 100 ranks of the pass compared to prior season passes. With a return to 4 passes per year, we've reduced pass ranks down to 110. Why the extra 10, you may ask? Well, they're extra special. While we set out to reduce the overall grind and remove the time gating introduced during episodes, we still wanted to preserve some aspects of aspirational progression and chase rewards that our larger season passes provided. These additional 10 ranks are packed with valuable rewards for free and premium players, require 500,000 XP each to earn, and can only be acquired through gameplay. We have ensured that the first 100 ranks provide more value than ever before. We hope you enjoy having additional rewards to chase after reaching 100. We actually get a preview of this up here, and I think this is kind of interesting. I don't know if I would get carried away with being like, oh my god, this is incredible. But if this is really what 101 to 110 look like, I'm a little disappointed. It's it's 4 exotic Ingrams, 6 golf balls, 6 prisms, an exotic cipher, 2 shaders, 1 transmog token, what looks to be 2 transmats, and a helmet ornament. I don't think that that's like life altering, and I imagine this is a mock up. I hope it's a mock up at least. Let me put it that way. But
yeah. I mean, I imagine this is probably some sort of mock up, right? I mean,
that would be my guess, is that this is a mock up, but who knows, man? I don't even know anymore.
Who knows anymore? Who knows? We're all getting exotics and prisms and golf balls and blowing up when we land. Who knows?
It's a choice. It's a choice, all right. So,
I mean, look, if you want to give me a golf ball over 4 levels, I mean, I'm not going to complain.
Well, I mean, this would be at the end of the pass too. So.
I know, but still, like, I'm not gonna complain, but it seems like a lot. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I have something else I was gonna say here towards the end.
But also some of these materials might be useful in some of the things that we don't know yet.
Oh, I'm sure they will be, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah.
I do that sometimes, Josh. Talk to myself.
Yeah, I think overall this is pretty interesting. I like seeing reward passes personally. It makes me feel like I'm getting investment for my time. Speaking of investment for your time, though, the Steam sale is currently going on. The Light and Darkness collection is 85% off. Legacy collection 2024 is 90%. Final Shape annual pass is 80%.
So on this note, Josh.
Yes.
This is more of a hypothetical question.
Sure.
But should I consider buying this on sale so I can play it on the Xbox Ally when it comes out?
I would consider it. You can get the entire Light and Dark collection for $22. Yeah. That includes the Final Shape. That includes the annual pass. That includes Witch Queen, Lightfall. I think it includes. Oh, hang on, I gotta scroll down. It includes the 30th anniversary, Beyond Light, Shadowkeep, and Forsaken packs. It includes all of that. I would say if anybody is looking to make the jump to Steam or thinks they might make it at some point in the future, like yours truly, I personally will be buying this. I see no reason not to. I see absolutely no reason not to. And yes, you should buy it all in the bundle because it is significantly cheaper. Like, significantly so. You're going to pay $20 just for the Final Shape with the annual pass if you do it separately. So,
right,
you might as well spend $3 extra and get access to everything. So, if you're missing an expansion for some reason, like for example, if you're missing Lightfall or Witch Queen, you can get those for $2.
Jeez,
2 buckaroos. The Forsaken pack is $1.50. The Beyond Light pack and Shadowkeep packs are also $1.50. So, I would read these very, very carefully as to what comes with the campaigns and what does not. There are upgrades if you already own the campaign for Final Shape, for instance. I would just say, like, the only thing I would seriously consider here is the Light and Dark collection. I think that's the only thing I would touch with a 10-foot pole. So, and for what it's worth, if you are just missing a couple other things, like the Legacy collection is $7. That includes everything from before the Final Shape, including the Pit of Heresy, Shattered Throne, and Grasp of Avarice dungeons. So, the dungeon key, this is the thing that really bothers me about this, though. Dungeon keys for Witch Queen and Lightfall are still sold separately.
Yeah.
You still have to buy those through the store. You still have to buy those through the Eververse, and I don't love the idea. I don't know if you have... I've always been confused on this. I think you still have to buy them again regardless, and I don't like that. So, yeah, I'm going to gripe a little bit.
I
But
mean,
I also would say that if you have PS Plus, this is your last opportunity to go get the final shape on PS Plus.
right,
It is one of the free games this month.
right. I
So
forgot.
I would encourage you to go get that. My PS Plus lapsed before I grabbed it, so I'm not renewing just to get it. But
Yeah,
I also believe that there are a variety of um, Destiny expansions that have either been made available as, hey, I can own this forever, or it's part of the extra tier. So Final Shape is still on there. Actually, like low key, Final Shape and Bomb Rush Cyberpunk both being on there are great. I would definitely recommend both of those. Obviously, I'm recommending Final Shape. Come on. I was looking to see if I could get all games A to Z. That's what I wanted. I was looking to see if we could. I would help if I spelled Destiny correctly. The Legacy Collection is on there. I believe they have given away Lightfall and the Witch Queen before. So, but the Legacy Collection is on there. That comes with some of the old packs. I think that's what it comes with. I don't know, man. That's what I think it comes with. So,
yeah. Well, what is happening? This is my Google password. Oh my gosh, Josh, I hate this so much.
uh, the Legacy Collection. Okay, so Legacy Collection. Okay, I'm wrong. The Legacy Collection. Let me go ahead and read this out correctly. The Legacy Collection gives you Lightfall, Witch Queen, Beyond Light, Shadowkeep, Forsaken, 30th Anniversary, Pit of Heresy, Shattered Throne, Grasp of Avarice. Okay, so everything is technically available through PS Plus as long as you claim Final Shape. You have access to everything else through PS Plus. Similar to how the Game Pass deal used to work. I don't think this is going to go away, but also like it's $7 to buy everything together. Like, come on, man.
Right.
What are we doing here? And that just emphasizes how silly the stupid dungeon keys are. So
Right.
it just continues to make it silly and silly and silly. So I think we had another question before we get out of here. Let me see what question we had. Okay, so I kind of like this because I like talking about PvP from time to time. Jiggly Panda writes in and asks, do you think Bungie should bring infected or other party modes into Destiny? Well, we have some party modes already.
Mayhem.
We have Mayhem, we have Team Scorched, we have Rift, we have there was something else I
The
was thinking of.
robots versus sparrows, whatever that was called.
Yes, we have Heavy Metal, which is
Yeah,
dog
that.
shit, but it's a party mode. So you have things like that already. I don't think you'll ever see anything like Infected come in here just because your builds can vary so much more than in a game like Halo.
Yeah.
I think party modes are kind of a weird thing for Destiny. And it's not because I think Destiny can't embrace them, it's because I think the PvP community will not embrace them. If we're being honest. They've tried to bring things in, like we got SWAT in here in the form of Momentum. I see constant complaining if it's not Clash, Control, or occasionally Supremacy. I basically see just nonstop complaining from all sides. So at this point, I would rather them just put their efforts into making sure that trials and comp are good.
Yeah.
So,
well, Josh, I did it. I bought a Steam game. Write it down.
monumental day, everybody.
It sure is. My Steam library, Josh. Let's see. How do I get to my Steam library? I don't even know how to do that. Jeez, I'm so stupid. It's fine. Anyways, it consists of 5 games, Josh. 5.
Are they all Destiny?
Nope. One is Planet Coaster.
Oh God.
One is Roller Coaster Tycoon Classic. One is Parkitect.
Corey has a theme here.
One is Tomb Raider Definitive Edition because they gave it away for free at some point. And then the last one is, in fact, Destiny. So,
yeah.
Yep.
All right, man. I would say get me on out of here. Let's go.
Yeah, it's time to go. Everybody out there, I want to thank you so much for watching and or listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. Remember, you can check us out on Fridays and our sister show, Xbox Casuals, if you enjoy the Xbox ecosystem and things kind of revolving around it. We talk about PlayStation on there sometimes, Switch sometimes, PC a lot of times now, apparently.
Play anywhere, baby. Play anywhere.
Yeah. Josh, I appreciate your time tonight, as always.
Always.
I'm happy that you have a player to rally around now. Now that Luka's gone.
I mean, I already had that. I did, and I've said this a lot. I really do love that roster. I really love the guys, and it's not Anthony Davis's fault. This city is never going to embrace Anthony Davis. He could win 2 titles here, and they'll never embrace him. So
yeah,
just because of the circumstances under which he and Max Christie got here, fucking Nico Harrison has the gall to come out and say, "Oh, well, the fortune favors the bold." Like, shut the fuck up. Just go away. Go away. That's the best thing you could possibly do for Cooper Flag is just shut your fucking mouth and get out of the way. let the 18-year-old carry us to glory, please. So let Kyrie keep doing his charity stuff unimpeded. Get me out of here. I'm getting upset again.
Speaking of glory, leave us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast application. We appreciate it. Subscribe on YouTube and listen to the other stuff we are a part of. And thank everybody out there for watching and listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.